very exciting race. My name is Tokuhiro. I'll be your commentator today. And our runners are off. Alright, so early on here, we got some fast menuing that our runners need to do. They're going to buy themselves a hammer here, and then go into the configurations there. They're going to set their cursor to memory as well as speed up some options for the run, but that memory cursor that they edit is allowing them to perform that glitch that you're currently seeing them do on your screen right now. This is the equipment glitch that's unique to the PSP version of the game here, and it allows us to basically create items from nothing because the game is drawing the wrong item from the memory, from its game memory for the item list. So by buying that hammer and then switching between characters by pressing L or R and X at the same time while we're hovering that over that adjacent character's memory slot, it allows us to essentially grab the wrong item there. So that hammer turned into the knight's armor there, and we're able to glitch that onto various spots that we're not supposed to have it on, as well as onto classes that normally aren't supposed to wear it. Knight's armor is normally a warrior knight specific armor, but as you notice, we have it now on our thief and mages as well. So that allows us to bypass a lot of these things here. This is a very, very overpowered glitch, and it's very abused through the course of this run in order to ensure that we have everything we need in order to make it through the game. So this is a very, very fast run for the PSP any percent compared to other versions of the game. Our runners here now making their way to the Chaos Shrine up here in the north. TenShi is the first one in, but got an encounter there. So this early game portion there'll be a lot of back and forth. We won't see a big lead swing open until a little bit later on into this game. If you missed that equipment glitch earlier, both of our runners now are grabbing a leather cap to glitch that into their weapon slot there to create that Judgment Staff. Judgment Staff was a post-game item that was added to some of the bonus dungeons that were added to the GBA version of this game and were carried over into the PSP remake. The Judgment Staff, in addition to being stronger than most of the weapons that we can get here in this early game, does have the added benefit of casting the spell Flare when used as an item in combat. But for this purposes, for beating Garland, we're just going to smack him with the light bulbs, as TenShi is the first one to get Garland down. Canucker not far behind himself. The benefit of using the Judgment Staff as a weapon here in this fight is that these three attacking him in about 3 or 4 rounds of attacks is faster than using Flare's 8-second animation there for only the one enemy, and then on top of it too, because magic damage scales with the intelligence stat of the caster, we don't quite have enough intelligence at this level early one of our party to deal the 212 damage that the Garland has there. So it's much more it's much faster rather than sitting through the long animation and having to do that twice possibly to do the damage roll, to just smack Garland until he goes down there. So after we've rescued the princess, the king commissions a bridge to be built, as well as we talk to the princess in order to obtain a loot from her. The loot is a very, very important item because it allows us to progress us to the through the last dungeon there, but we actually won't be using it up until maybe like an hour and like 15 minutes from now. There's actually no indication in the original NES version that you needed to grab that loot, so they made sure in remakes to ensure that there was no possible way that you could forget it there. If you do try to leave there, the princess will call you back, and it will trigger about like an additional 10-second cutscene where you'll have to walk of shame back to her and then mash through a few extra text boxes there. This is our first instance of a skippable cutscene on TenShi's screen there. So normally that bridge scroll is about like a minute and a half unskippable, but in the PSP version, thankfully, after 2 additional remakes by the time we got to the PSP, they finally learned like, oh hey, we should probably allow them to skip some of these cutscenes here. So now that we're past the bridge, random encounters will start playing a factor into what sort of leads our runners will have between one another here. The Total Chaos name of this tournament, for those that are just joining us now for this tournament, does not refer to any sort of randomizer or other various shenanigans there. It's basically just a reference to the fact that RNG, from encounter luck to damage rolls to turn order, by and large, is basically uncontrollable. It's out. We have no means of manipulating it, and because of how short this run is compared to other versions of the same game in Final Fantasy, the difference between a very, very fast run and an average run comes down to the kind of encounter luck and RNG that you would just subject through over the course of this hour-and-a-half run. So TenShi is the first one to make it into Provoca here. We're going to fight BK and his crew of pirates here. This is going to be that first time you see that Judgment Staff put to use here, because there's 9 of these pirates here. It would take us about 3 rounds of combat in order to take down all of them with melee hits. Rather than do that, we'll just use that flare spell, get at one 8-second animation or so, take out all 9 of them at once, and that is an easy 1 round of combat. And with that, we obtain a ship from BK, who promises to change his ways here. And then this will be kind of where we might see some divergence from the route here. So looks like both of our runners opted to fight the pirates first and then go shopping here. They're gonna sell one of the extra knight's armors they made early on here and use those to fund the supply items they'll need for the rest of the game here. TenShi has everything he needs, and he'll be leaving the town now. Canucker just beat BK and will be shortly behind him. So now that we've obtained this ship, we're going to use it to sail a little bit west and south to the town of Elfheim. For plot catch-up, within the town of Elfheim, their prince has been cursed with a sleep spell and is unable to awaken. And within this area, if you were to talk to some people, and you would eventually find your way up to a castle in the northwest, you'd find a king there who would tell you that his crown was stolen. And with that crown... Oh, actually, a little bit of a pause on the plot catch-up here, as Canucker is attempting a 15 puzzle here. So why is he doing this? So the 15 puzzle is a mini game that was added, that was present on the boat in all versions of the game here, but it's really, really vamped up in remakes compared to the original NES. So in the original NES, you basically just got gold from doing it. It wasn't really worth doing. In PlayStation 1, you got a lot of gold from doing it. But in GBA and PSP specifically, the reason why some runners attempt to do this is because there's item drops that you can get from the 15 puzzle that were added there. Specifically relevant to the run, on the second place prize, there is a 1 in 6 chance of getting an item called an emergency exit, as long as you can beat the puzzle faster than a minute. So Canucker unfortunately did not get it there, so it's just a little bit of time lost there does allow TenShi to pull ahead into the lead as he's making his way to the Marsh Cave, which will be our next area for a quest progression item. That the 15 puzzle is a bit of a risk versus reward, because, as I mentioned, it is a 1 in 6 chance to get the item known as the emergency exit. But if you get that item, the emergency exit is a consumable item that allows you to cast the exit spell, which will instantly take you out of a dungeon. And of particular note, this is useful in the first major dungeon that we're going to be coming up on, the Earth Cave, after we get through this early game here, and that can save optimally about 2 minutes in backtracking. And more importantly, it dodges all the random encounters there, so it's very, very useful item to get, but again, it is only that 1 in 6 chance to get it, so some runners do opt to not go for it. Within the Marsh Cave now, getting a little bit unlucky with this encounter here, but TenShi has made it to the chest with the trap tile in front of it. Trap tile generates a forced encounter, and for this one, it will be 2 to 4 Pisca Demons. For us, in the PSP version, it doesn't really matter how many Pisca Demons we run into, because we have that Judgment Staff there. We're just able to instantly wipe them out in 1 round. However, depending on which version of the route that our runners are running here today, today. EXP might be an important consideration there. So I know for 2 Biscuit Demons, you might come up just a little shy on the amount of EXP that you need to get your Black Mage to level 8, which is something that the Black Mage version of the Lust Dagger route does consider for the party in order to buy spells on the Black Mage. I believe both of our runners are running the Lust Dagger route, which is the more modern version of the any percent route, but I won't be able to confirm until I start seeing some spell shopping, or if I can take a quick peek at their inventories later, you know, which versions of the route they'll be running here today. Canucker getting a little bit of bad encounter luck here. That's okay, are early because, again, we do have that Knight's Armor. We can glitch equipment into our inventory to sell for items, money. So money is not an issue in the PSP version of the route, thankfully. Able to just get any supply items we need. So we do have Phoenix Down's death, not nearly as punishing as it would be in some other versions. Our runners high-five each other up and out of the Marsh Cave. This Canucker is making his way down to grab his crown as TenShi is trying to make his way back out. Marsh Cave being a little bit uncooperative here. Normally the Marsh Cave does have a lower encounter rate overall compared to other dungeons in the game. But that's why this game is total chaos. You just kind of have to just roll with what you get. Canucker also getting 2 Biscuit Demons here, so both of our runners getting, if they are concerned with the Black Mage's level, might need to do a little bit of experience makeup depending on how their Astos fights goes, which is their next fight that they will be approaching. So they're making their way back up to that Northwest Castle. So as I was previously mentioning, if you were to talk to the king in the Northwest Castle, he would mention his crown is stolen, and that's how you're supposed to be directed into the Marsh Cave in order to retrieve it. Looks like TenShi is going to take this Ogre Giga Swarm encounter for the EXP just to make up there. So that does kind of hint to me that he probably is running the Black Mage version of the route, taking the time to farm a few extra encounters here. Doesn't need a lot of EXP, just needs a little bit to push the Black Mage up to that level 8 there. Astos does give a lot of EXP himself. So we take the crown back to the king, and why is this king laughing maniacally? Oh, no, we were tricked. Turns out that the king sitting in an abandoned ruined castle wasn't a good guy after all, and he was in fact the Dark Elf King Astos. So Astos normally is a little bit of a dangerous fight, particularly because he has a preference to cast spells, and the first spell he has in his spell list is Death. TenShi got good RNG there with a physical hit there, so we're going to use the Juggling Staff on our mages, and those physical hits from our Warrior and our Thief are just to ensure some damage rolls here. White Mage doing 200 is a good high roll. It means she got her intelligence growths for the through the random level up stats. The Black Mage is pretty guaranteed to do 200 damage by this point of the run, but the White Mage, depending on intelligence level ups, might only do 100. So those physical attacks from our Warrior and our Thief are just to ensure that we can take Astos out in this one round, just in case that the White Mage can't get up to that HP damage roll threshold. And with Astos defeated, we get ourselves a Crystal Eye. TenShi taking a moment to double check his levels here as well. He's going to re-ether up his mages now. So with the Black Mage at level 8, TenShi will be able to buy level 3 Black Magic, specifically Fyra and Thundara for his party there. Now, you might be wondering, why do we go out of our way to buy lower level magic when we have access to Flare? It comes down to animation timings. As I've mentioned a few times in the past over the course of this early game, Flare does have a quite long animation at about 8 seconds or so, and over the course of an hour-and-a-half run, if you have to use that spell a lot, that is a lot of time adding up there. The lower level magics like Fyra, Thundara, Blizzara, by comparison, have a much shorter animation. I believe Fyra at the longest has about a 4-second animation, 4 or 5 seconds. So that couple seconds difference there, if you were to add it up over the course of the run, does actually make some significant time difference there. Canucker got a little bit unfortunate there. The death spell did hit on his Thief. It will ensure that the Black Mages hit their levels there, but we prefer that death spell to either miss or hit the warrior there, because we do want to eventually feed some EXP into the thief. But for this early game, making sure that black mage hits level 8 is the most important thing. TenShi now has bought his black magic and has detoured to pick up some gold needles. The gold needles are a safety item that runners will grab in a race setting, because in the upcoming Earth Cave we do have enemies which can potentially petrify us, and petrification status does flag the character as dead or incapacitated. So barring a full paralysis lock, we'll be able to unstone our party and continue on with the race there. So it's good to have those gold needles in a race setting just to make sure that you can complete out your run. So continuing our little early game fetch quest adventure here, we're taking that crystal eye that we got from Astos, and we're going to use that, we're going to carry that all the way up back north here to the cave of the witch Matoya. Matoya has lost her crystal eye and is stumbling around her cave. She can't see. But returning the crystal eye to her will give us the Jolt Tonic, which is our next quest progression item. Oh, TenShi got a little bit trolled there. So, unlike the NES versions where NPCs will despawn if they are not active on the map, is if you go into a room. In the remakes, the NPCs will still move around even if they are not physically visible on screen. So there is a broom NPC that is outside of the door of Matoya's cave there, and for that brief instance there, that broom was standing in front of the door and blocking his path, so TenShi could not progress out of the cave there until the broom got out of the way. But now, with Jolt Tonic in hand, we will make our way back to Elfheim Castle to awaken the Elf Prince, who will then give us the Mystic Key, which will allow us to open certain locked doors in that were spread out through this early game. If you were to kind of like look around and explore, you would find that certain rooms are inaccessible, and if you were to examine them, they would say something probably like locked behind a mystic lock or something like that. With the Mystic Key in your inventory, it allows you to just walk into those rooms without any issue. Alright. So the Elfin Prince is awakened, and we have the Mystic Key, and we're going to put that Mystic Key to use right away. We're going to leave the Elf Castle through this little side exit, because it's fewer steps overall to leave the castle out that exit side and come back into the castle. We're going to make our way all the way around to the back, open up this armory which is previously locked behind a Mystic Key lock, grab ourselves a Mithril Hammer and a Bronze Glove. That Mithril Hammer will be used for our next instance of the equipment glitch, as TenShi is currently doing, glitching the Thieves' Armlet onto our party there. This is not only a small improvement to our... well, I shouldn't say small. It's not only an improvement to our armor. What it does allow us to do as well is that it gives us... the Thieves' Armlets give us a flat 5 bonus to our agility. So with 3 Thieves' Armlets on, we have plus 15 to our agility. So with that heightened agility, we're more likely to go sooner in the turn order, as well as much more likely to run from enemies in random encounters. Additionally, using that Bronze Gloves to glitch the Sage's Staff into the weapon slot of our White Mage and our Thief. The Sage's Staff is an item that gives plus, I believe it's plus 15 intelligence there, and that is important for our mages specifically because it boosts the magic damage that we will do with our spells. We glitch it into the Thief just temporarily there because we're in the item menu glitching it already, and it's convenient to just make it there. We will be changing out the Thieves' weapon very, very shortly there. Another benefit of the Sage's Staff is intelligence. Does play a minor role in calculation for the run stat as well. Not nearly as much as agility though. So we grabbed, TenShi came back to Cornelia Castle, grabbed that nitro powder out of that previously Mr. Keylock room, and will make his way now west to the Dwarven Cave. This Sahagin encounter is about the worst encounter you will normally see on the water, but with those Thieves Armlets now, we're fairly favorable to run from them now. So usually we can get away within 1 round there, but sometimes it might get a little bit unlucky. Might need to take 2 rounds there. We do also have Thundara, so if we do want to take care of the troublesome enemies, we can just use that spell to ensure that we end it in that next round of combat there. But Nitro Powder in hand, we make our way into Mount Duger or the Dwarf Cave. We're gonna make our way down south to talk to the NPC Narek. Narek has been trying to figure out the longest time how to open up the canal to allow free ocean travel between this little landlocked area we've been trapped in this early game and the rest of the outside world. And Narek's bright idea is to use that nitro power to completely collapse the entire landmass that is currently blocking the canal. I'm sure this is a great idea with absolutely 0 repercussions whatsoever. Boom goes the dynamite. Another quick cutscene skip here. We can actually skip that little animation of the landmass collapsing in the PSP version because it's a kind of like a pseudo FMV file for that one there between versus having like our overworld sprites here on the map in some of the other unskippable cutscenes. And then we'll make our way out of the Dwarf Cave. We want to get the heck out of here before the place starts flooding with ocean water. We never come back here in a normal run, so these dwarves' fates after we leave are left up to a mystery there. I'm sure they'll make it out fine. Dwarven engineering is a marvel in fantasy worlds. But now with that canal open, with the ship that we have fairly large access to the overworld. But even if you were to explore around, you would find that within this early game, you're still fairly railroaded, not a whole lot of places to go, just because a lot of progression is locked behind just like plot checks and other various item things that progression there. So we're gonna make our way to the town of Melmond here. Now, Melmond in the original NES was a very, very scary point of the run foot because for plot reasons, it did not have a clinic or a item shop. But in the PSP version, it is the most important place because it allows us to buy steel gloves. The steel gloves, when we use that equipment glitches into the Barbarian Sword, which is the strongest weapon in the game. 125 base attack power with an additional flat 15 bonus to your strength. So with Barbarian Swords in hand, you hit things very, very hard. As Canucker is attempting a second 15 puzzle here, trying to see if he can get another shot at that emergency exit. Maybe make up a little bit of this gap here. Got Hermes Shoes. That's still okay. Hermes Shoes, when used is a consumable item that casts the haste spell. That can potentially be used either on the Lich fight or... Actually, no, I'm sorry. Hasting on the Lich fight is a GBA strat. My apologies. But if, for example, the ninja doesn't get haste later on in the run here, he could actually potentially even use that on the Chaos fight. So, unfortunately, not the emergency exit, but not the worst item he could have gotten there. So now we are in the Earth Cave as TenShi is the first one in. We do have to dip this dungeon twice, which is part of the reason why runners will attempt to go for the emergency exit, because we can only go through this dungeon part way. There's 5 floors and we can only access the first 3 for plot reasons. Byproduct of Final Fantasy 1 being an original NES RPG is that due to memory limitations, they made you do a lot of this back and forth in order to expand out the content of their game. But with Thieves' Armlets equipped on all of our party members, we're not terribly concerned about any encounters in here. At least within these first couple of floors, we're fairly favorable to run from most of the encounters. Gargoyles are kind of a like 50-50 because gargoyles normally are very fast and agile. But with our Thieves' Armlets, we're usually okay to get away with them within a few rounds of combat. So TenShi now to the Earth Cave B3 and is going to take his first safety save of the run. So as I mentioned previously when we bought gold needles back in Elfheim, we can run into some pretty nasty encounters on this third floor here. Those gold needles are specifically for cockatrices, which can show up here, and they have the petrification stone touch on their basic attacks. We also can run into Pisca demons, which are back from the marsh cave as a random encounter and still flagged as unrunnable. We can also run into undead formations, which can paralyze us, which will waste time, and if it goes on long enough, can potentially kill us very, very slowly. Floor 3 is not a fun place to be in any version of this game. But TenShi, only 2 encounters to the Vampire here. Vampire normally in the vanilla speedrun, or in a casual playthrough, is supposed to be a very high physical defense boss. You're intended to take him down at magic. We have Barbarian Swords. What is physical defense? And with that, the Vampire is down. And then we pick up this Star Ruby from this chest. So with that Star Ruby in hand now, we have to backtrack our way out of the Earth Cave, and if we had an emergency exit, this is the point in the run we would use it after beating the Vampire and obtaining the Star Ruby. If you were to try to travel further down into the Earth Cave outside of Vampire's Cave, because there is a additional door there, you would find your progress blocked behind a stone tablet blocking the staircase there. So we have to make our way out in order to get another progression item to continue further on into the game. Canucker now has made his way to the Earth Cave and will be taking his safety save just a little bit early, just to make sure that, just in case if anything like unfortunate were to happen in this early portions here. Looks like we'll get a little bit of a high five between our runners there as they pass each other in the Earth Cave. Canucker opting to not safety save on floor B3 because he has that save outside of the Earth Cave. Okay, so getting some unfortunate run luck here as he has some members paralyzed here. As long as the Black Mage can stay up, he might opt to use that Judgment Staff in order to just make sure that he can end this fight in one round. Yeah, looks like so he will be Judgment Staffing here. And then with the, because with that, with those Thieves' Armlets in play, he will, what's it called? We're fairly likely to go early enough that the Judgment Staff will go off. So TenShi now in the Giant's Cave will give that Star Ruby to the giant that's blocking the path here. Don't worry, the giant is fine. He definitely did not eat the ruby. We just paid him a toll, a very hefty toll of 1 ruby. And with the pathway open now, we can continue on into Sardar's Cave. Nothing too terribly dangerous in this overworld. Worst about thing is the undead encounters. Canucker getting what's it called? A little unfortunate here with his encounter luck here in this Earth Cave. This is slowing him down as he's trying to make up the gap between him and TenShi right now. So TenShi talked to Sardar the Sage, got the Earth Rod. and will now make his way back into the Earth Cave in order to complete the dungeon in full, as Canucker now is on the vampire fight. And that is a dead vampire. So for those of you just joining us, TenShi is quite a couple minutes ahead of Canucker, but do not count Canucker out yet. This game is called Total Chaos for the specific reason of RNG is completely uncontrollable. The game can just decide to throw all of the encounters at you, and like lead swings can happen at any moment in this game. Canucker is a little unfortunate to have that white ghast ambush there, but does get the good turn order once he gains control of the Black Mage, able to get that fire spell off. With this equipment glitch that we have access to, barring status effects, we're fairly unlikely to die in here. It's just so all these random encounters really just lose us time over the course of the run. This is a very, very slow Earth Cave for Canucker. Very unfortunate to see. TenShi back on Earth Cave B3 has gotten himself ambushed by the undead here. Black Mage does get paralyzed there, so he has 3 people paralyzed. We'll have to resort to the Judgment Staff on the White Mage since we do not have access to our Fire and Thundara magic on the Black Mage. But able to get that Judgment Staff out there. So I guess one thing I can briefly talk about is that it is not a even likelihood of people getting targeted in when enemies attack them. The top 2 slots where the Warrior and the Thief are more favored to get targeted. I believe it's like 50% for slot 1, 25% slot 2, and about 12.5 between slots 3 and 4. So usually if if you're in a situation where you're reliant on one party member staying up, if you have one of your mages up still up, you're probably fairly good odds to make it out of there, okay? TenShi running into that cockatrice encounter we didn't want to see, and that is that stone on the warrior is specifically why. So we'll need to use those gold needles in order to undo that status effect, but that is why we pick them up in a race setting, just to make sure that our run doesn't die. In PB attempts, if you were trying to push down for a very high time, you would normally skip the gold needles and just chance that you either don't run into cockatrice encounters, or if you do run into one, that your party doesn't get petrified. There are a few gold needles scattered about randomly throughout the overworld map, but they're quite out of the way to go and grab them. So normally, if you get petrified, that is just a run over. TenShi has made his way to the bottom floor of the Earth Cave and will be on the Lich fight shortly. Took a little bit of time on those Wraith encounters just because Wraiths themselves are fairly agile, even in the vanilla game. Alright, so TenShi took that safety save before the Lich fight because even with all this agility gear that we have in this early game, Lich does have a chance to speed tie or outspeed us, so he does still have a chance to take his turn. If he takes a turn, his AI favors casting spells, and the first spell in his spell list is Bizarra. TenShi able to get the 2 attacks out, but unfortunately was not able to get the 1200 damage needed to kill Lich in one round there. Was just under at about 1100 or so, but that is why we have that safety save, because Lich can just instantly wipe that party there. It is unfortunate, but it is expected in this run. Lich is basically Lich, weirdly enough, is the most terrifying of the 4 fiends at the points which we fight him in the speed run. Got a crit from the thief that second time around, so much better fight. Second try for the Lich fight. In a glitchless speed run, you would actually be reliant on your party hitting certain HP thresholds over the course of leveling up before you got to the Lich fight in order to potentially try to survive the Blizzara, because magic resistance is tied to your party's level, and unfortunately no amount of like equipment that we can glitch, or even like within the first few early levels of this game will we have enough magic resistance to have reduce that damage from the Blizzara to survive it there. So basically your only hope is having enough HP, and in a glitched run we're even less likely to have enough HP to survive a Blizzara because we're relying on the raw stats of the equipment we're glitching to carry us through over the course of this entire game. But that is Lich down. We can take a convenient teleporter that's in the back of the chamber, and TenShi will be making his way to the next destination. So now that Lich is defeated, Lich is kind of... Gatekeeper actually is one of the best words to use to describe him, because after you beat Lich, a lot of the world opens up to you. So where we're going next to in Crescent Lake for our next destination, it has not only some items that we're going to buy for the equipment glitch, but it also has our next method of overworld travel, the canoe. And with combination of the canoe and ship, you would find that you would be able to explore a bit more of the map, not quite all of it, because some areas are locked behind an airship. So what you're intended to do in a casual playthrough was be, after you beat Lich, here, take this canoe, go down this long, winding, slow canoe river maze to go to Mount Gog, where the Fiend of Fire is. Go fight the Fiend of Fire, backtrack through that entire river, make it back to your boat, and then possibly even go go to the ice cave. Yeah, go to the ice cave, do clash change, get your airship, blah 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 blah. That is slow and inefficient. So what we're going to do is, after we get our canoe, we're going to go straight to the ice cave, and that will be where our major level grind to set up the back half of this run will take place there. You'll notice for TenShi there that his warrior went down and even was actually poisoned for a little bit earlier, but he's not picking up the warrior. That is actually in part due to what we plan to do in the ice cave. For the ice cave, the levels that are important for us are the levels on the white mage and the black mage there. So, and we already plan to temporarily kill off the warrior and the thief in order to split EXP amongst fewer surviving party members. So EXP is split between everybody that's still alive at the end of the battle, and EXP split 3 ways gets more EXP per character than EXP split 4 ways. 2 gets more than 3, etc., etc., etc. To explain this equipment glitch here, TenShi bought a Mithril Axe, which is being used to glitch into the Black Garb. This gives us a +10 bonus to our agility over the Thieves' Arm that's +5, in addition to increasing our armor. And then TenShi also grabbed a Mithril Glove to glitch the Lust Dagger onto our mages. This is where the name Lust Dagger route comes from, because this was an item that was found and was used to kind of solve an issue that I believe the original Barbarian Sword route had, was about just basically the consistency for turn order on the mages. Because I believe in the Barbarian Sword route, your primary method of dealing with random encounters is either mowing them down with the Barbarian Sword or using the Judgment Staff. With the Lust Dagger gives you a +20 evasion and agility boost, I believe. So with that, our mages can actually keep up with the thief in terms of agility, and so they are much more reliable now for consistent turn order. So we can use, with that Lust Dagger and all those black garbs that we have equipped there, we can rely on either our Black Mage or our White Mage, depending on who our spellcaster is, to go early enough that we can get those AoE spells out to deal with those large groups of enemies. So TenShi is making his way through a different river maze in order to make it into the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave will probably be where we see our next safety save, as Canucker was able to take down Lich and has made his way out of the Earth Cave. So the Ice Cave is not a fun place. We are severely underleveled. We're underleveled for a good portion of this run, but we are really not supposed to be here. We are very much relying on the raw stats of our equipment there. Within the Ice Cave, the Cockatrices are back, the Piscademons are back, and they're in larger packs. The Cockatrices come with mummy friends who can put you to sleep. Let's see what else there. The Undead are back in larger packs. There are Mind Flayers, which have an AoE paralysis skill, as well as Death Touch on their attacks. There are a 1 in 64 rare encounter to run into White Dragons, who have an AoE Ice Storm, which, if they get their turn in, will just flat out kill you. We have Dark Wizards, and although you're favored to get a preemptive strike against the Dark Wizards, if they ambush you, they have a tendency to cast Firaga. If they get that Firaga off, you're dead. Yeah, there's just a lot of bad stuff in the Ice Cave, and there's really not a whole lot we can do about it. There's probably only about 2 encounter formations in the Ice Cave that won't outright kill you out of the 8 or so that are in them. So we're just trying to make our way through this Ice Cave as quickly as possible because we want to get down to the Leva Stone, which is the quest item that we came down here for, as well as where we'll be doing our eye grind. Alright, so TenShi has made it about halfway through the Ice Cave now. As Canucker is coming up on Crescent Lake, we'll be buying his Mithril Axe and Mithril Gloves in order to do his equipment glitching. Alright, so TenShi has made it to the the eye trap tile. So in front of the Leva Stone, there is another trap tile which has this unrunnable enemy, the Eye. What TenShi is going to do, and he got it right away, is he's going to defend until the Eye casts Thundara or otherwise kills off the warrior and the thief. And then now, with that Lust Dagger equipped, we're going to just attack this Eye over and over, and we're going to use those to get levels for our mages, as well as picking up this Leva Stone. So the Leva Stone is used to grab the airship, and then we're going to step off of this tile and back onto it, and we're going to fight that Eye over and over again. The Eye has a total of 3,200 EXP, or roughly thereabout, and when split between our 2 mages will be 1,600 apiece, and that much EXP allows our mages to get a level about every 1 to 2 eyes. It starts approaching that 2 range as we get higher up in the levels. We're going to do this until our mages hit about level 18. And the reason for this is for routing purposes, and later on in the run, we are going to need level 19 on our mages to obtain Healara and Teleport, which are level 5 magic spells that our party will be using throughout the rest of the run here. So by going to about level 18 or so, some runners will do level 17 and take about 1 extra, like 17 and a half is one way to think about it. We'll use that to get the mages to where they need to be. Looks like TenShi is... Okay, so TenShi just healing at the party because he was just in the menu double checking the levels there. So looks like we'll be going to level 18 for his party. But yeah. The mages levels are the ones most important because they need levels in order to learn spells. So TenShi has level 18 on his mages now. We'll bring the thief back up, but we're going to leave the warrior dead. as I previously mentioned, EXP is split amongst all living party members. So by leaving the warrior dead, we're not only ensuring that the mages still get a larger chunk of the EXP, but we also ensure that the thief gets a few levels as well. The reason for this is because if the thief can get to level 15 by the time we kill Marilith, that is a white dragon. Didn't ambush. Oh, was not able to get the run, however, and the ice storm went off there. Our mages are at a higher level though, so they do have a higher HP pool, but unfortunately that was the thief down, so TenShi will need to bring the thief back up again. Unfortunate, but not nearly as disastrous as a full party wipe would have been. Canucker now in the ice cave as well. Took that safety save outside. Got that cockatrice mummy ambush though. Looks like he's chancing this out. And his party was able to get away. Alright. So going back to why we need EXP on our thief is because when we class change the thief into the ninja is able to cast black magic. If we can get the ninja to level 15 by the time we've killed Marilith, when we do our shopping for a few additional spells for our black mage and white mage, but while we're getting spells for the black mage, if the ninja is at least level 15, the ninja can learn haste, which if he gets the MP growths by the time we get to the chaos fight, can potentially save a turn on the of setup on the chaos fight by having the ninja also be able to cast haste on there. Haste in this game does not make your character go sooner in the turn order because there's not like a ATB gauge like you might have seen in some other Final Fantasies, like let's say for example Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII. But Final Fantasy IX also has an ATB gauge. But what the haste spell does is that it doubles the amount of attacks that you do in a round based on your agility score. So if your agility score and weird game calculation math, let's say for example you do 5 attacks per round with your current agility. If you have the haste status on you, you will do 10 attacks per round instead. So TenShi has made his way to the Yukon Desert. We're going to use that lava stone and we're going to raise the airship out of the desert here. Fortunately, the airship coming out of the sand is a skippable cutscene, and we're able to skip right to the victory jingle. Canucker now starting his eye grind. We'll have to stall a little bit, waiting for that Thundara or for the warrior and the thief to otherwise get incapacitated there. There's the Thundara. Alright, so Canucker will be able to get his eye grind started now. TenShi, now that we have our airship, we're going to go through the Citadel trials. We actually did have access to the Citadel trial even before once we had the canoe. We actually could have sailed there and got and using a property that I didn't touch upon, where you actually can exit the boat onto the canoe if there is a river tile that is adjacent to the ocean. But I believe this has been fairly thoroughly tested, and it actually works out that for the PSP version specifically, it is faster to go do your level grind in the ice cave and get the airship and come back here afterward, because just the airship moves faster in the overworld and there's no encounters. The downside of the airship is that we do have to land on a plain grass tile, so that's why you'll notice that TenShi had to park his airship all the way away here and walk the rest of the way to the Citadel trials rather than park the airship right next to the Citadel. So we have to talk to this NPC in order to activate the teleporter maze that's within the Citadel. And in a casual playthrough, if you've never played this game before, if you're worried about getting lost in here, a very, very simple way to remember which way to go is that if you have a choice between multiple teleporters, always take the teleporter that is the lowest of the grouping. So very easy to navigate for the speed run here. And TenShi is able to make his way through. So got another trap tile coming up here for TenShi. This one is actually for Nightmares. Nightmares are still a very, very agile enemy even with our equipment glitch, so running is a little bit difficult, but if you need EXP for your party, you can actually, most runners usually will kill these things anyway, and it happens to work out for EXP routing regardless. We do also have to step over this trap tile twice, because for the PSP version, we need to go grab this healing staff that's in this chest here. TenShi going to take a quick moment to glitch that healing staff into a lordly robe onto his black mage to boost his intelligence, and then we're going to step back over that trap tile again. In the NES version, there was actually a whether it be an architectural oversight or because of the map design, you actually could there was a little corner piece that was missing in the map, and you could actually dodge the trap tile for the second time around. TenShi getting ambushed by the Mind Flayers here. That's Death Touch on the Thief. We want to see more of these AoE Mind Blasts. With the levels on our mages, we have the magic resist to resist the status ailments there. Okay, so was able to get away. That could be a very, very potentially dangerous situation there. Mind Flayers are, I believe, a 3 in 64 rare encounter within the Citadel, but they are in much larger packs than they were previously, so we don't want to see them. As we see another one. Oh boy. Might not be 3 in 64 then. But we don't need any of the other chests for the Lust Dagger route within the Citadel here. We're just gonna grab the one important chest well, the second important chest, because we do need to grab the healing staff. We're gonna get this Rat's Tail, which is the quest progression item we need for class change. And then one more trap tile here. This is going to be 1 to 2 dragon zombies. TenShi did get the 2. That's good for EXP. 2 dragon zombies is roughly equivalent to 1 eye's worth of EXP between party members there, so it does help push that white mage and black mage to the level thresholds to get level 19. So I believe that is level 19 for our party based on the level up messages I saw real quick there. And with that, TenShi will make his way out of the Citadel area onto Cardia Islands to talk to Bahamut to complete the class change quest. Canucker has now landed in the Citadel Desert and will be passing TenShi here, so one more high five between our runners. I believe this is our 3rd high five of the run. So this gap has largely maintained just because of encounter luck between the 2 runners there. We do still have time left in this run for Canucker to catch up, but the longer this run goes on, the less windows there of opportunity for comeback there is. But I've seen stranger things happen in this tournament. I saw a 4-minute gap in the very, very last dungeon of the game, and that turned into a come from behind win. So anything can happen in this game because total chaos. So we talk to the dragon, and he gives us a nice wardrobe change, and now we have completed the class change quest. So class change specifically for the party doesn't really do too much in terms of stats. There's some slight changes to the magic resistance per level, but magic resistance is an unseen variable that we can't manipulate in any way, unfortunately. What's mostly important for the run is that class change allows our mages to learn additional spells. It allows the knight and the ninja to have some limited white and black magic, respectively. And in a glitchless run, it would also allow us to equip more equipment onto our party members, but we have the equipment glitch for the normal 80% run, so that benefit doesn't really help us all that much. TenShi dropped into this caravan real quick, bought a bottled fairy, which is a quest a plot progression item needed. Also, re-entered that shop because in the original NES version, it just sold the bottled fairy and you couldn't access it again after you left. They added a potion shop in the remakes, which allows you to buy tonics that give you temporary bonuses to your stats for the course of that battle. Bought ourselves some Giants tonics for the specifically for the Chaos fight. We don't need all 11, but it's just faster menuing wise to press up once to get to buy 11 of them because we have the money from the selling all those Knights armors than it is to like physically like press right, however many times to get the amount of tonics we need. So we're gonna talk to that bottled fairy that got released as we entered the town of Gaia. She apologizes for running away because she was scared. She in gratitude for freeing her, she goes and grabs a Sun Oxiel. The Oxiel is a progression item that we need to access the Sea Shrine, which is the third dungeon we're going to access there. So, but before we go there, we're going to go ahead and now get back on track with regards to plot regression. We're going to listen to that sage that gave us the canoe finally, and we're going to go into Mount Gug to fight Carrie, the Fiend of Fire. So Mount Gug is a very, very trivial dungeon in the speedrun. You'll notice here that TenShi is going out of his way to step on all these lava tiles. The reason for this is that in exchange for taking 1 point of damage for every lava tile you step on, you don't get a random encounter. So we speedrunners, fail at playing the floor as lava, step on as many lava tiles as possible to make their way through the dungeon with as few encounters as possible. With the PSP's lowered encounter rate overall compared to, let's say, for example, the GBA version, it is not uncommon to see maybe only 1 or 2 encounters throughout the entire course of the volcano. 0 encounter volcanoes are actually possible in PSP version specifically. You would have to have phenomenal RNG luck in order to get a 0 volcano encounter volcano in, let's say, GBA, for example. But TenShi has made his way all the way to the bottom of the volcano and will now bring up the warrior to bring it up for the party fight. Unfortunately, ran out of potions, but that's slightly alright because this is the last fight we're going to need those potions for there. And the Black Mage is in that last spot there, not likely to get hit there. The worst thing that Merilith can do that can potentially kill that Black Mage would be a Fire spell. But we have Barbarian Swords, and we can fairly consistently end this fight in 2 rounds, usually. What's it called? If we high roll potentially 1. TenShi did have to fight those Ogre Mages because that was a unrunnable encounter formation that had 0 to 2 Hellhounds in it. And even though there were no Hellhounds spawned in that one there, the encounter set is still marked as unrunnable. So Merilith now the Fiend of Fire. TenShi also gonna guarantee that we end this fight in 1 round by having the mages attack with their Lust Daggers in order to make up that damage roll. I believe it's 1400 HP that Merilith has. So able to get that in 1 round. And that is light restored to the second of our 4 crystals. Canucker now buying his bottled fairy, getting his Giant's tonics, and will make his way to Gaia to release the fairy. One thing I did not touch upon back actually in the Earth Cave is that added to the GBA version and carried over to the PSP was those bonus dungeons, where actually a lot of our equipment comes from for what we're glitching here. Dungeon access to the dungeons themselves unlock after you beat each fiend, and the entrances are scattered throughout the world map. We don't go to them in a normal any % run because trying to traverse them would waste more time than we would gain from getting the items out of them. So TenShi now going to do a part 2 of the shopping spree here. We're going to go ahead, grab Haste and Blizzara for our Black Mage. Let's see, does TenShi get Haste for his ninja? Unfortunately not. That's okay. The important thing is that the Black Mage has to be able to learn Haste and Teleport, and if you can get to level 19, you have that level threshold you need already. We're going to make another trip to Melmond here, and then this will allow... we're gonna duck into this white magic shop to buy Hilara. This will be our primary means of healing our party for the rest of the run, which is why it was okay that we ran out of potions. And then we're gonna buy this teleport spell. So the teleport spell is, for those that played NES, is Warp. It takes you back one floor previously in a dungeon. And if you're in the one floor dungeon or the entrance of the dungeon, it will just take you straight out of the dungeon there. So with those spells in hand now, TenShi is going to make his way to the town of Onrock to access the Sea Shrine, as Canucker now is diving through the volcano. Alright, so if we did not have the Oxyel in hand previously, when we talked to this mermaid NPC as TenShi getting blocked by the blue hair, but if we previously tried to talk to this NPC without the Oxyel in hand, she actually wouldn't allow us to get into the submarine because she mentions that it doesn't have an air supply. Does TenShi beat the menu boss? Let's see here. Looks like we'll find out after he heals up. TenShi does not beat the menu boss first try. So the menu boss, as I call it, is a weird change that they made in the PSP version. So in any other version, when you talk to the submarine, if it asks you, do you want to get into the barrel, the default menu position is yes. For whatever reason, in PSP specifically, they changed it for the default to the default menu position to be no. And so if you're trying to go fast and just mashing through the text boxes previously talking to the mermaid and not paying attention, you will just hit, do you want to get into the barrel? No, over and over and over again until you hit up to correct getting into the barrel. But within the Sea Shrine now, there's not too many bad encounters there. The worst things that we can run into are that there are some unrunnable encounters within the Sea Shrine. There are water elementals which are unrunnable unless they're with a water naga. There are ghosts which are always unrunnable because they're by themselves. The really annoying one is Sahagin Prince, Sahagin Chief, because of their agility. They are also unrunnable. But TenShi able to make his way to the mermaid's floor and will grab the Rosetta Stone. So this is a quest progression item we need to access the last dungeon of the game, and then we're going to put that teleport spell to use by not having to backtrack through these two floors, make our way back to the third floor, and then we're going to descend further into the Sea Shrine to fight Kraken. So TenShi unfortunately had a little bit of a mismenu there, probably wanted to cast spells with those Black Mage, accidentally queued up the Flea, so now we'll just have to wait for our party there. And actually, if you caught that really quickly there, you might have seen like a little bit of a, heard a little bit of a tink before that miss came on the Black Mage. The Black Mage actually pulled up an invisible shield. So a minor thing of note is, when we've been doing this equipment glitch throughout the entire course of the run, our runners have been very, very careful to not put equipment onto the shield slot. The reason for this is that not every single piece of equipment in the game has a animation associated with it. Normally for the shield, there's an animation that will pull the shield up to block the attack and count it as a miss. Because we're glitching non-shields like body armor, helmets, gloves onto the shield slot, we run the chance of, if the piece of armor that we glitched there doesn't have the animation, it will actually hard lock the game and crash it. So our runners are very, very careful to only glitch specific items which have been tested and proven to not crash the game, and conveniently all of them are stuff that we get normally throughout the course of the run. So the Lordly Robes, which are currently in the Black Mage's seal slot, are safe. The ribbon, which we will get shortly after this dungeon, will be safe, and then also additionally the survival vest, which will be our next instance of the equipment glitch, are also safe for the run here. So TenShi just has to make his way through a couple of random encounters here, and then we'll be grabbing this light axe. This light axe is guarded by trap tiles on the left and the bottom, so you have to approach it from the right. I believe this is in part due because in the original Sea Shrine map on the NES, that tile just to the right of the chest was a half tile that you couldn't walk. next to, and then when they retooled the map, I guess they didn't add that trap tile there, so it allows us to dodge that. But with that light axe that we grabbed from that chest, we glitch survival vest onto our party members. The survival vest, as has been a common trend of upgrading our armors throughout the course of the run, give us, I believe, a plus 15 to our agility. And then additionally, we're also glitching Lordly Robes onto our White Mage in order to set up her equipment for the late game here. So the White Mage is losing a lot of her agility gear. The reason for this is on the Chaos fight, we're trying to manipulate turn order so that the White Mage always goes last, and we'll be able to fully heal up our party after Chaos has already done his damage for the round. And but the White Mage will still be able to have a good chance of running from encounters because, as I mentioned, intelligence does play into that run luck chance, as well as the White Mage is starting to get those intelligence growths now with those levels there. Canucker unfortunately run into an Ice Geese Winter Wolf unrunnable encounter in the Wolf Run, and actually that is one encounter I realized I forgot was mentioned is runnable into the Ice Cave. But TenShi now on Kraken as Canucker has made his way into On Rock and will make his way to the Sea Shrine. So Kraken, the dapper octopus that he is, normally his most threatening attacks are those physical hits because he can do potentially 8 hits per attack. Because we have that equipment glitch and we stack so much armor onto different slots of our party, he basically only does like 1 damage per hit if we don't defend. So his strongest attack in a normal casual setting becomes his weakest. So that what's it called? So with Barbarian's Sword, our Warriors of Light are able to just cut up the octopus, have themselves a nice calamari stack, and we restore light to the Crystal of Water. Canucker unfortunately ran into the unrunnable ghost encounter. We'll need to do a little bit of menuing in order to clear out this encounter pack. This encounter luck has not done Canucker any favors throughout the course of the run. Oh boy. That is a little frustrating to see that many encounters back to back, as well as like the Prince Sagan Chief encounter is unrunnable there. It is allowing TenShi to get further ahead in this game here, so really need to start seeing that encounter luck turn around for Canucker if he wants to get back into this game. But unfortunately, it's out of his control, and it's just up to whatever the game throws at him. TenShi, now having left On Rock, sailed up north on the river into this waterfall cavern. The waterfall cavern is a little bit deceptive because it uses the friendly cave music, but it has arguably the highest encounter rate of any cave dungeon in the game. So as you'll notice here, we've been running into mummies, nightmares. We can also run into clay golems, pyroliths, which are just upgraded cockatrices, regular cockatrices on a trap tile. Waterfall cavern is not a fun place. Oh, there's a 1 in 64 chance of running into this green dragon, which, I was just about to talk about. So preemptive commentator curse there. But TenShi has made his way to the treasure chest room, steps on this trap tile, and then we'll need to talk to the robot NPC to get the warp cube, but also needs to grab this ribbon out of the chest. So the ribbon will be the first instance you'll see of us, in essence, duplicating equipment. Previously, up to this point in the run, anytime we picked up an item, we've just used it to create something in our inventory. With the ribbon specifically, though, we're going to use that to glitch it into a Gigantaxe, to add it into our inventory, and then with that new Gigantaxe added to our inventory, we're going to use it to glitch additional ribbons to the rest of our party there. So Because the equipment glitch, this allows us to only need to pick up 1 ribbon, and we don't have to go out of our way to pick up the 3 that are in the vanilla game. There are only 3 ribbons in the base game. A 4th one was added, but it's in one of the bonus dungeons, and as previously mentioned, going into one of the bonus dungeons wastes more time than it would save us in order to go get that 4th ribbon there. But with the equipment glitch, we can just create ribbons there. You'll notice TenShi also only put 3 ribbons onto his party, didn't put 1 onto his black mage. The reason for this is because we want to ensure that the black mage not only maintains the agility from the survival vest, but also the intelligence boost from the lordly robes, in order so that he can still go reliably early in the torrent order, as well as do enough damage with his spells to clear out the AoE packs. That does present a little bit of a danger to the black mage, because in addition to guarding from status effects, the ribbon does cut elemental damage from fire, ice, and thunder magic in half. So if the black mage does get hit by those elemental attacks there, he can potentially go down to there. But that is just kind of a risk we have to take with the black mage. So we took a quick detour to the town of Melmont to talk to Dr. Un. With that, as if you recall, in the Sea Shrine, we picked up the Rosetta Stone. We show that to Dr. Un, and he teaches us a brand new language in a matter of seconds. And then we have to sail all the way up to this little peninsula. We have to land on that one specific grass patch, because that is the only place we can land the airship, and then have to walk through all of this forest in order to get to the town of Lufania, which will be our next destination to get the last item we need to access the dungeon. Now, Lufania is full of encounters there. You'll notice that Minotaur Zombie is one of the unrunnable encounters here. They are still good for EXP, but it's quite annoying to run into because it's an unrunnable encounter. We do have to fight it. There's also, like, Allosaurus' wyverns, there's frost wolves by themselves, which have their AoE. So there's a 1 in 64 chance to run into a T-Rex. A lot of the encounters here aren't necessarily terrible. The most annoying one, and I believe one of the more frequent ones, is that Minotaur Zombie troll encounter that is flagged as unrunnable. So a lot of this this particular portion of the run is just dependent on how many encounters you get on this little peninsula here. TenShi able to make it to the town of Lufania. Let's see what kind of NPC luck he gets here, because there are 2 NPCs that could potentially block our path. Looks like we're able to navigate around there. So talk to this NPC here, we'll get the chime. The chime is the second of 2 items that we need to access the Mirage Tower. So the chime reveals the Mirage Tower, and then the warp cube that we got in the waterfall gets us into the Flying Fortress, which is the actual dungeon where we get the where we fight the last of the 4 fiends. So that is cracking down for Canucker on your right hand side of the screen there. Both of our runners now just basically have to get through to their next destination here. TenShi having to run through like the Lufania Peninsula. If you notice, he might have like zigzagged a little there. One of the things he's trying to do is avoid stepping on forest tiles, because forest tiles have a higher chance to generate encounters. After this encounter, you'll probably see him cut through that little lake there, because those are flagged as river tiles with the canoe. The water tiles have a lower encounter rate there, so we try to do everything we can over the course of the run to avoid stepping on forest to reduce our encounter rate. But in areas like Lufania, and actually even all the way back at Elfheim, had this similar problem. There's just so many forest tiles that you can't really do a whole lot about it. So a little bit of a short airship ride to this desert, and then we'll be able to access the Mirage Tower from here. Mirage Tower, first floor, very, very dangerous floor. Hopefully nothing... and it's done. first floor of Mirage Tower is very, very short if you don't go out of the way to pick up the treasure chests that are in the center of the tower. There's treasure chests. Mirage Tower is a very, very good place to go treasure hunting in a casual playthrough because the first floor has a few good items. It's mostly money, but the second floor does have a lot of good gear in it for that you can use to upgrade your party's equipment. But in the speed run, we even in a glitchless speed run, we have everything we need by the time we get to this point of the game, so we don't detour to pick up any of the treasures in the Mirage Towers. We just have to make our way through around the perimeters of the floors in order to get to the third floor, which will be the top of the tower there. Alright, so gotta step on a trap tile here, gonna get a forced encounter with this blue dragon, and that is a dead blue dragon. And then with that warp cube in hand, we'd be able to take this tile up to the Flying Fortress there. Again, Flying Fortress, actually similarly to the Mirage Tower, is chock full of goodies in terms of equipment to pad out your inventory for like special gear and such like that there. We don't need any of it. This, like, the third ribbon would be here in the Flying Fortress there, but we don't need it because of the equipment glitch. So actually, we just need to beeline our way through the 5 floors of the Flying Fortress in order to make it up to Tiamat. Canucker's robot in the waterfall is in a favorable position, or was in a favorable position, because it was right next to the ribbon chest tile. Unfortunately, he decided to move. TenShi getting a lot more encounters now in the Flying Fortress compared to Mirage Tower, so we'll see how this keeps up here, but it'll certainly slow him down, buy Canucker a little bit of time to catch back up. But Canucker does also need to get his fair share of good encounter luck to help close out this gap. So this 4th floor of the Flying Fortress is kind of your Legend of Zelda Lost Woods type of thing there. The map itself wraps around completely. In order to make your way to the exit teleporter, you need to go two tiles rooms in essence vertically, and 2 tiles horizontally without doubling back in a direction there. So you can go like up twice, left twice, you know, up right. As long as you don't double back over the course of the thing, you'll be able to find the teleporter. TenShi taking a safety save now because he is on the Bridge of Destiny before Tiamat. So-called Bridge of Destiny because there is a 1 in 64 chance of running into the Warmech random encounter there, who is arguably the first pseudo super boss in Final Fantasy history. So no Warmech for TenShi getting to Tiamat, but there are 10 to 15 tiles after the Tiamat fight, so we still could potentially see a Warmech there. But on the Tiamat fight for TenShi now, we're going to attack with the Barbarian Swords. 2400 HP there, that was about 1800. Thunderbolt is bad to see for there, that's probably a dead Black Mage. Because again, the Black Mage doesn't have that ribbon on there, but that is Tiamat down for TenShi now. Canucker has spoken to Dr. Un now and will be making his way to Lufania to try and access the chime. Oh, a little bit of an overshoot there. Was able to make his way down. Alright, and with that, TenShi has beaten his four fiends. And with light restored to the 4 crystals, we will now be able to make our way to the Chaos Shrine to access our final dungeon there. TenShi taking a brief moment to heal up his party. So as mentioned, you can still run into random encounters after the boss fight. So with this much of a lead, I don't blame him for taking a little bit of safety there. So no war mech for TenShi. But so now making our way back to our airship, and we're gonna make our way back to the town of Cornelia. That is a 1 in 64 Tyrannosaur encounter for TenShi, and I believe that is probably, if not our first, what's it called? That might be only like one of 2 Tyrannosaurs we've seen over the course of the entire tournament so far. But that is a rare 1 in 64 encounter spotting for TenShi. So making our way back to the Chaos Shrine here, this was a cutscene that was added to show you where the Labyrinth of Time bonus dungeon was added to the PSP version of the game there. That guy, what's it called, tries to do his best Kool-Aid Man impression to try and burst the wall. Doesn't work, so he just makes a door instead and walks through. If you never played Final Fantasy 1 before, you might think that that's where the final dungeon is. No, you actually just walk back into Garland's chamber, talk to that black orb, and then it opens up a time portal that allows us to go 2,000 years into the past. Alright, so in the Chaos Shrine now, another safety save. The reason for that is because within these first few floors of the Chaos Shrine, we can, there are like some of the worst ones there. TenShi unfortunately tried to run from the Purple Worms, which is an unrunnable encounter, so instead of having to sit through waiting for his party to get control, he just decided to take the reset because he has that save on the Chaos Shrine. But yeah, these white dragons are one of the reasons why these early portions of the Chaos Shrine are so dangerous. So we have white dragons on the first floor, unrunnable dragon zombies, which are actually the least threatening dragon we can run into here, on the second floor. Let's see, do we get more ice storms? Okay, able to get away. And then on the third floor, we have the green dragons, which, similar to the white dragons, have an AoE attack, but the difference between the green dragons is the green dragons are unrunnable. But TenShi making his way now through, and then we're going to step on this trap tile, and we're going to have a battle with the Death Eye. But the Death Eye is nothing too dangerous, able to take him out in a, what's it called, a single round of physical combat. And then, after this encounter, that is an unrunnable green dragon encounter, so TenShi will need to clear them out with that Blizzara spell. Either Blizzara or the Judgment Staff will take care of either of them. Elemental weaknesses are kind of tricky to remember over the course of the game, especially because like they sometimes change between versions as well. But TenShi now finally using that loot that we got 3 minutes into the run, an hour and 20 minutes later. So as I previously mentioned way back in the beginning there, we have that loot just to make sure that we can get past this portion of the run, and then we have to backtrack through those previous floors. So this second floor isn't anything too terribly dangerous. The most thing we have to deal with are the unrunnable encounters between the dragon zombies and the ice gigas frost wolves. TenShi making it back to the first floor. Now this is our last like really dangerous floor of the backtrack, because this is our last instance of running into potentially white dragons. Purple worms are fine, they're just unrunnable, and will just waste our time and give us a little bit of EXP. But TenShi has made his way past the worst of the floors, as Canucker is on the Bridge of Destiny, not taking the safety save. TenShi getting an unrunnable Earth encounter as he's making his way through the first 3 floors. Canucker getting some more random encounters. Do we see a Warmick from him? He has made it to Tiamat. Alright. So that is the worst of the... that is about the worst thing that TenShi can run into is those earth elementals because they're unrunnables. Those earth Medusas can potentially waste time if they ambush us, but with ribbons on, we're not too terribly threatened by them there. Alright, so TenShi now has made his way to the Lich refight now. Going to heal up his party a little bit and may potentially take a safety save. We'll see what he decides to do. TenShi not safety saving, but he has healed up to his party, but got the rude Earth Elemental encounter. And that is Tiamat down for Canucker. Alright, so this will be the last chance to see a Warmech in this run. Just those last few tiles that Canucker has to run over. So Lich 2 for TenShi though. Lich 2 has about 2800 HP and that is a flare. So that will deal about 300 damage to our party, which means that probably our warrior and our white mage are going to stay up there. But fortunately, the warrior has enough damage with his barbarian sword that he can take it out. And actually, the first spell in Lich's list is the most threatening one because for the second fight after flare, he starts doing a lot more like AoE and instant kill spells, and we have enough magic resistance to resist those between our levels and the ribbons there. So unfortunate for the flare because it does mean that we have to revive our party members, but Lich down for the first try for TenShi. And Canucker did not get Warmech, so no Warmech today for our tournament. So Canucker now will make his way to the Chaos Shrine and make his way down there. TenShi has about a 5-floor lead between all of the first few dragon floors and then with the Fiend Elemental floors, but we'll see what happens here depending on what kind of safety saves he takes and what kind of encounters both of our runners get. We'll just have to see. Total Chaos truly lives up to its name in this tournament because you cannot decide. Nothing is decided until Chaos himself is dead. Stranger things have happened throughout the course of this tournament. But that is Merilith 2 down for TenShi, and we are now on the sea-themed floor, making our way to Kraken. Got a little bit of an unfortunate ambush here, but we just have to sit through it there. So you'll notice that our runners are blocking those attacks with a sword. That is the animation that is tied when you glitch the ribbon onto the equipment slot. That is an unrunnable water elemental encounter. TenShi looks like had a little bit of a fast menu there. Cast the Thundara spell on the water elementals instead of the Blizzara. One of the things that's a little confusing when you first start learning this run actually is that the water elementals are not weak to thunder magic, they're weak to ice magic. I know that was really confusing to me, but I was just like, wait, why is it not thunder magic? It's been thunder magic in literally every other RPG that I've played prior to this, but it's ice magic in this? Alright, so Canucker has made his way past the Death Eye and will be playing his loot now. Alright, so the Kraken 2 refight. Kraken 2 just as trivial as Kraken 1. The only difference for the any percent for the PSP between Kraken 2 and Kraken 1 is how much HP does Kraken 2 have. Again, because we have all that armor stacked on, there's not really anything dangerous that Kraken can do to us. The most threatening thing would be Thundara, but we have enough HP that we would survive it. So that is Kraken 2 down, and we are on to Tiamat 2 for TenShi. Getting ambushed by air elementals, so we'll just have to sit through that. So Tiamat 2, Tiamat 2, weirdly enough, has a very high jump compared to the previous Fiend refights there. She has 5,500 HP compared to the previous boss. Kraken only had like 30, I think like 36, 38, some 100 HP in there. I believe it jumps from like 2,800 on Lich 2 to 3,200 on Marileth. Yeah, it's 3,600 on Kraken 2, but she jumps all the way up to 55. But between the Barbarian Sword and the Haste spell, we're usually able to end that fight in about 2 rounds there. Oh no, Canucker unfortunately getting ambushed by the White Dragons there. Okay, that is 2 out of 3 Ice Storms there, but he does still have party members up. Oh, that could be bad. And that unfortunately will be a party wipe for Canucker. I know he's been trying to catch up there, but so that is unfortunate though. And that is a due to no safety save, that is a forfeit from Canucker there. That is very unfortunate to see. Yeah, I never want to see that happen in a race. It is unfortunately one of the cruel RNGs for Final Fantasy 1. But TenShi has done his final menuing for the Chaos fight now. The important things of note: TenShi glitched the Barbarian Sword onto the Black Mage for the weapon slot, put a ribbon on, and then took the Lust Dagger and all of the agility gear off of the White Mage. So for this Chaos fight, the first turn is the scariest. We're going to tonic up our mages. We're going to cast Haste onto our Black Mage, our Ninja, and our Knight. A little bit of a miss menu there for the defense spell. There's the Blaze turn 1 for what's it called? For TenShi. But able to get it through the first turn there, so we'll have a little bit of a delay there. But once we get Haste onto our party there, we'll be basically just down to holding X to clear out the Chaos fight. So Chaos has 20,000 HP in this early fight, or in this version of the game here. Once we're all set up, we'll be doing about 4,000 to 5,000 points of damage per round. I believe, if my math is correct, we've already actually done about 4,500 HP's worth of damage to him, so about a quarter of the way there. But with Haste now on all of our party members now, we are going to attack with all of our party members now, and we are basically just in hold X to win. So really the worst part of it is over now. Now Earthquake is a instant death skill, but we have ribbons on. That's not going to affect us. Probably only 1 or 2 more rounds here now for damage-wise. And that is time for TenShi. That is an official SRL time from TenShi of 1 hour 33 minutes and 59 seconds. But with that, TenShi has won this best of 3 match here. Let me confirm with them if they would like to do an interview. But yeah, so with that, yeah, TenShi now, as I mentioned, has won the best of 3 between him and Canucker there, so he will advance into the next round of the bracket there. Alright, and let us welcome in now our winner, TenShi. GG, congratulations on your match victory.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, what were your overall thoughts on your run? Because I mean, oh boy, this was quite a roller coaster of emotions on some encounter luck. I feel really bad for both you guys at certain points throughout the course of this run on just some of the encounters you've had to put up with.
And it's just the game in the game, you know. Nothing more to say. Game is the total chaos, right?
But
said about Canucker to the ambush by the
No, yeah, that was so sad. Like I don't blame him because like if you know he like with like his encounter luck throughout the entire run, even from like as far back as Earth Cave, was just atrocious. It was like anytime he would like try to just claw back into this game, the game would just keep throwing the encounters at him, and he was just doing everything he possibly could. But like yeah, like when he got to the Chaos Shrine, and I don't blame him, you know, for trying to like, you know, make up some time there. It was just unfortunate that yeah, he got the Ice Dragon ambush there, and then ice storms happened. But yeah, but I mean, it's congratulations to you. You're advancing to the next round of the tournament. So with that, you will actually be up against Yoshikyon for the next round there. So what's it called? What are your?
I play against Yoshi in the groups. He was in my groups, and it will be very hard. The both races I carried him, I think he was pretty close. I don't remember, but he played very well. He won from Kipeta, right? So
yeah,
it would be hard, very hard.
Yeah, so you know that. Yeah, so but that should be a very exciting matchup between the two of you there, especially because you know this is essentially rematch showdown from the group stages there. Any final thoughts you want to say before we go?
Thank you for commentating. It's pretty good have commentators. Pretty sad when the history does not have commentators. It's just like the sound is very odd. So thank you for commentating. We need more commentators in the tournament. And thank you for the stream, everyone who takes the gaming. That's it.
Yeah. To kind of echo that. Yeah, you know, thank you very much to Speed Gaming and everybody behind the scenes helping us. You know, bring out this restream to everybody there. Thank you, TenShi. Thank you, Canucker, for you know participating in the tournament, allowing you know the Final Fantasy 1 community to you know continue this annual tournament now into its 4th year. It's always good to see runners you know come back for the tournament and participate there. You know, shout outs to the Final Fantasy 1 community. And thank you to everybody that was watching today. If you guys have any interest about this game at all, you know, if you wanted to learn more about the tournament there, unfortunately the bot is down, but you know, I think if you can reach out to any of us, we can get you the, you know, the tournament doc. That we have the challenge link for the bracket itself. We do have a community Discord what's it called? You can free to join. More than welcome to join. We can help you out if you're interested in there. But I think with that, that will do it for us for this match today. Thank you everyone for watching there. We do have a very exciting lineup packed tomorrow. So tomorrow we will actually have Double Drop and Holy Smith doing their home match there. So they have 2 games on the schedule there, with the possibility of going to game 3 accounted for there. So if you want to see more Final Fantasy 1 action, that will be tune in tomorrow starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. It will be on one of the speed gaming channels there. But thanks again for watching. Shoutouts again to Canucker and TenShi, GG to them. Congratulations again, TenShi, on advancing further into the bracket. But that'll do it for us today, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, evening.